Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. How's Eddie Frederick?
So glad you can join us. An anti-corruption bill has been presented for its second reading in St. Kitts and Nevis's Parliament. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday, 27th February 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. One of the bills getting its second reading in the National Assembly of St. Kitts and Nevis is that of the Anti-Corruption Bill 2023, which Attorney General Garth Wilkin presented in the 22nd February sitting of the Parliament. SKN Newsline's Glenn Bart gives details.
According to Wilkin, the bill represents one of three major pieces of good governance legislation that will transform the way matters are conducted in government. He explained why anti-corruption legislation is so important.
Today is a momentous day in our history because this anti-corruption bill, if it receives safe passage, will signal a new day and a better way for our people. Many may ask, why this bill? Why at this time? Why is anti-corruption legislation so important? How does it fit into our government's long-term strategy? To answer those questions, one has to be first clear on what corruption is and what it does to a society. At its core, corruption is the use of power for private gain. It is a societal ill motivated by greed and practiced by greedy men and women. The use of power for private gain involves abuse of the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events. Private gain doesn't necessarily mean gain for your own self or family, but also gains for associates and cronies, which divert state funds or assets to the detriment of the people of a country. In a recent UNDP article titled "The Cost of Corruption," the following was reported, and I quote, "Corruption is one of the scourges of modern life. Its costs are staggering. Of the approximately US $13 trillion that governments spend on public spending, up to 25% is lost to corruption. In countries with high levels of corruption, governments spend 25% less on health and 58% less on education. Anywhere between 1.4 to 35% of climate action funds have been lost to corruption."
Amendments to the Integrity in Public Life and Freedom of Information Acts are expected to pass through the National Assembly during the first half of 2023. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
Countries with Citizenship by Investment Programs, CBI, have to work together with European nations to ensure due diligence and to allay any fears about the program being a threat to national security. Andre Huey of SKN Newsline reports.
We are fragile, and we have to be able to finesse the monsters that we are dealing with. So it means sometimes you have to hold back on things that you'd prefer to do. I do hope that the St. Lucia Prime Minister and his colleagues prioritize working as a group, and then we can build our strengths from there and then see how things go down the road. But failing that, it's going to be increasingly difficult for us to get through the next couple of years in the CBI business.
The need to work together comes in light of concerns expressed by Europe that some persons were getting passports from Caribbean countries and some European nations who were possible threats to national security. Passport holders from Caribbean countries that offer a CBI program have visa-free access to Europe. Meanwhile, Mr. Astafan said the CBI program can continue well beyond 2025 if the necessary improvements are made. He expressed concern, however, about the quality of CBI applicants that have come through the system, suggesting they may not be of much economic value to the country.
Some of them are here already, looking to buy homes, for in the region of 150,000 US dollars. That tells me these are not people with money. But the system here was so vulgarized, mongrelized, that people were getting citizenship for $60 and $70 and $80,000 and $100,000, which is below the legal thresholds. And so what do people like that have to offer? Now people want to leave certain countries because they might be afraid for their safety, don't think there's much of a future. But we are not in a position to give a leg up to poor people coming in here. Maybe people from the region if we're looking for labor and that kind of thing. But that has to be done in an organized manner, but not under the CBI program. It can last beyond 2025 and well beyond that. But we have to work hard as a sub-region to hold one head, and the head must be one that reflects that this is a good space in which to do business, good governance, efficiency, transparency. Because I don't believe those people out there want to close us down. They know we don't have mineral wealth, and they know we have to rely on something.
Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Tangible solutions to threats on national security from a regional level, as well as plans to address the concerning issues in Haiti, were just some of the discussion points at the recently concluded 44th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM. TTT News has more.
Hosted in the Bahamas, heads of CARICOM member nations held discussions on a number of issues, including agricultural food systems agenda, progress on the CARICOM single market and economy, the region's continued resilience relating to COVID-19, and the mounting concerns surrounding the Republic of Haiti. Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Amory Brown, at Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing, reported that a caucus meeting was engaged with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as special guest, which focused on Haiti.
During that period, of course, it was caucus, so I'm not able to go into the details of the discussion, but there were presentations, analysis, and discussion on the current situation in Haiti and recommendations as to additional steps that the hemisphere, the international community, and the Caribbean community in particular can play in that regard.
Focus was also given to the increasing concerns of national security within and among member states. As such, Trinidad and Tobago will host a special symposium in April 2023, which will encourage discussions and solutions to crime, violence, and the treatment of crime as a public health concern.
Coming out of this focus in April, we anticipate that both domestically here and right across the region, we will be able to mobilize many more important stakeholders, including, of course, the private sector, to participate more fully in the suppression of this threat.
Minister Brown stated that the Council for National Security and Law Enforcement and the Council for Human and Social Development will play major roles in guiding discussions during the symposium. Ayana Carter, TTT News.
Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Sir Hilary Beckles, thinks the time has come for the transformation of St. Lucia's education model if the island's economy is to get where it needs it to be. The distinguished academic made the comment while he delivered the Independence Lecture at the Finance Administrative Center at Point Seraphin in Castries on Thursday evening. Zane Romulus of the DBS News World reports.
In the Western Hemisphere, the Caribbean has the lowest enrollment of students in higher education, while Bahamas and Barbados fared better, with 50% of their young people having attained the first degree. A stark contrast exists in the Windward Islands, which ranks as having the lowest figures of university grads in the entire region. This presents a problem for this grouping of islands, says Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Sir Hilary Beckles. St. Lucia, like her other counterparts of the sub-region, says Sir Hilary, should be concerned because, as he points out, every theory or model for economic development that exists makes it abundantly clear that human resource development is the key to transformation.
The OECS nations, I believe, need to find a strategy to have a massive investment in the human resource. It is so vital and critical that this is done.
He used the example of Barbados, which was at the bottom of the economic ladder decades ago, but which citizens now have a high standard of living. This he attributes to the foresight of Barbadian leaders like the late Sir Owen Arthur, who understood that the country's potential for economic transformation is a direct expression of the number of its citizens who have had professional development, skills training, and academic training.
When I was at the Cayfield campus, when I went there as principal, the Owen Arthur government invited me to formulate a strategy to move the Barbados economy to a higher level through education. We came up with the concept that the next transformative stage of the Barbados economy, to make it more diverse, more sophisticated, more competitive, requires a new body of skills on this island, and skills that a university can produce in short time. We came up with the concept that the vision of the campus is to produce at least one university graduate in every household.
An education revolution in short time will be required here in St. Lucia, says Sir Hilary, to meet the services economy model of the modern society. For the DBS News World, I am Zane Romulus.
Over in Trinidad, one current UNC member and former UNC minister is backing up claims made by the Prime Minister that UNC officials are involved in human trafficking. In an interview with TV6, Devant Maharaj also implicated a former national security minister and says the opposition leader chose and continues to choose to turn a blind eye to these atrocities. Renessa Cutting of TV6 News has that report.
Now, these have some very heavy allegations that you would have made here, so I just want to...
First of all, these are not allegations. I was very much involved in this thing, and these are facts as it happened.
According to former People's Partnership Minister Devant Maharaj, the assertion by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley that it is members of the opposition who have caused TNT to be listed on the United States Trafficking in Persons report is wholly and irrefutably accurate. He detailed for TV6 how he came to be involved in an internal UNC investigation into the matter.
Another member of the government, not at the highest level, was getting married, and the senior member solicited a person in the party who now holds high office to recruit women for the party, the bachelor party, in which it was successful. And that was then communicated to the political leadership, confirming the trafficking allegation as then it was. I was given some particular instructions, and subsequent to that, the persons who was the focus of the investigation, internal investigation, was protected by the leadership, and he subsequently was placed in high office.
Maharaj said he was propositioned with Colombian and Venezuelan women, but he refused every time.
And after being rejected on each occasion, told me that, listen, every time they have to bring this woman for me, it's costing $25,000 to $3,000, and they're being sent away. And as a result, please let them know when I was ready so they wouldn't waste any more money.
He also tells TV6 the information was brought to the attention of the then Minister of National Security.
That eventually got the attention of the then Minister of National Security. who did investigations where certain facilities of state at the time were being utilized by this particular individual to facilitate the commerce and trade of women.
And what happened next, as per your knowledge?
Well, as far as I know, the minister advised the political directorate of the infractions of the law, the abuse of state facilities to facilitate human trafficking and prostitution, and it was told, he was instructed not to carry it further.
With you having come out publicly confirming this, however, are you prepared to go the extra mile in terms of taking this information to the police?
I have little confidence in the police detection rate, with criminal activities, and this is something, at the time, you're looking at over 7 years, and given how the political leadership has now had entrenched itself at a granular level in the party, nobody in the party would confirm or corroborate what I'm saying, including the person who would have conducted the said investigation.
Maharaj says it is for this and similar reasons why he and other stalwarts decided to part ways with the UNC. Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.